Yusuf.
Nothing, Cody.
That's cool.
Really nothing.
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing. Huh? That's the button I wanted. Dun dun dun. Hollywood Reporter's downloading, and it has a bunch of random people in front of it. Nicolas Cage, Andrew Garfield, what's his name? Tyrion Lannister. Jonathan Majors. Who the hell is that guy?
Is he related to Lee Majors?
No, he's Atticus from Lovecraft Country. He's also Kang.
Oh, yeah.
Or the one who... What they call him in Loki?
I don't remember.
God damn, what was it? It was a weird name. I don't know, whatever. Who's Simon Rex?
I have no idea.
Simon Rex.
Not gonna. There we go.
Clickety click clack clackety click click clack. I mean, I guess I could look at the actual articles and see who it is, but I was just gonna look it up. Did you find it? Who's Simon Rex?
Oh, I wasn't looking up your stuff.
Oh, that's good.
You look up your stuff.
I need a fact checker.
Where's Paige?
Watching beat Bobby Flay.
Gross.
Well. Okay. So, Wikipedia lists him as American actor and rapper. He was an MTV VJ, later became an actor known for What I Like About You, the Scary Movie franchise, and National Lampoon's Pledge This, which I have no idea what that even is.
Never even heard of it. Is National Lampoon still a thing?
I don't know. Why is he on the front of Entertainment Weekly with those other people? Okay. Well, I guess he has a movie that premiered at Cannes Film Festival called Red Rocket. Okay. Whatever, dog. Whatever. Yep, sounds about right. All right. Anyways, what's up, Joe? What's happening? What's going on? What's the haps?
Not a whole lot here. Not really a whole lot at all.
All right. So yesterday when we were briefly talking at dinner, and you mentioned the Samsung TV, you talking about the Quantum Dot OLED?
Yeah.
That shit's gnarly, dude.
Did you look at all the specifications? I was trying to pull up specifications for them right now, and I couldn't find it. But I found the like a small breakdown of what at least the not so much the manufacturing of them are, but like how they work, and it's so fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, that technology is nuts, dude. I was reading all about it. I was like, this is insane. I'm trying to see. See, I keep seeing these articles pop up where it says Sony announces the world's first QD OLED. So
really, because I've just seen Samsung, because it's all Samsung screens.
Yeah, it's so weird because it says the panels are said to be delivered, I can't read. The panels are said to deliver better brightness and more consistent color than OLEDs from LG Display. But this article literally says Sony.
And I wonder if it's not going to be a thing where Sony is just licensing the actual panels from Samsung, like
Well,
they did with LG,
it is.
because
It's right here.
Sony's OLEDs were LG screens.
Yeah, the panels were yeah.
Yeah.
It actually says that here. I scrolled down. I clicked on the actual article to read it, and I scrolled down. This is on The Verge. God, I hate their mobile fucking site. It's terrible. It says Sony setting some pretty grand expectations with its 2022 TV lineup, led by the introduction of the world's first consumer QD OLED TV. The company's current and well-regarded OLED sets use panels from LG Display, which obviously is a division of LG Electronics, that are tuned with Sony's own processing, obviously because it's the engine that runs it. But the new flagship Bravia XR A95K TV will include a QLED a QD OLED quantum dot organic light emitting diode panel manufactured by none other than Samsung Display. It'll come in a 65-inch, a 55-inch size, and are both coming in 4K resolution. I don't see. I'm trying to see if any of these have specs on them, but I don't see it.
But basically, for those who don't know all the abbreviations, basically QD OLED stands for quantum dot organic light emitting diodes, just like for the original LG OLEDs is organic light emitting diodes. What is cool about them is that they're supposed to be, like, OLED in general from LG had a very good I'm spacing out on the terminology. Ratio of darkness to brightness, whatever that ratio is called. And these are supposed to have contrast ratio. Yeah, these are supposed to have even better contrast ratio and be a bit. I guess it's brighter than regular OLEDs.
Yeah, because it can use an actual so it utilizes a better backlight system that can actually become opaque, so it becomes black versus like a murky gray, which a lot of LCDs have an issue with, which makes OLEDs. One of the reasons OLEDs are so nice is they don't use a backlight because the actual pixels produce the white light in the light itself, so they're bright, but they're not as bright as, say, an LED would be. So this is like a hybrid between the two, but also that, if I remember reading correctly, the Samsung panel is literally a 3-layer thing. It has the OLED, it has a backlight that can be turned on in segments to help with brightness, and then it has the quantum dot, which helps with color saturation, because this electronic essentially LCD type liquid in there can be excited to either be red or green, with the OLED producing a frequency of blue that activates it at a certain range that'll either turn it red or green to help with the RGB. So it is an actual RGB panel, which OLEDs technically are not. They are I can't remember what the classification are, but they're not true RGB panels, where these new ones are RGB panels because there's a separate red, a separate green, and a separate blue all being emitted at the same time.
And I remember another difference. I'm looking at an Ars Technical article. They have at least a good picture diagramming the difference between an LCD and a QD OLED. They didn't include one for regular OLED. I remember, though, seeing in another article that in order to obtain even the brightness that OLEDs have, they also have to include, or the whites, no, brightness. They include a white pixel in the substrate. So you have red, green, blue, and white. And if I recall right, like you said, they have those individual sections in the OLED, but the way that they process the backlight on them is that they have a panel that shows all white, and then it's filtered out to the different colors, whereas the QD OLED starts off with a blue light, a blue OLED light. Like you said, they can turn off the pixels altogether on the backlight. And in doing so, since they start off with blue, which is the highest energy there, you can shine blue straight through that subpixel. But for the red and green, all you have to do then is have a set of subpixels that steps down the energy from the blue.
That excites them into red and blue.
No, it steps it down. Blue is the highest.
Yeah,
energy.
so it steps it down. Yeah.
So since you're starting off high, you don't have to use as much energy to try and step up to a blue. You can actually step down to a red and green. And you're right, the color saturation, that was another thing that the article had gone over. Not this article from Ars Technica as far as I've read, but the other one that I read, which I cannot remember where it came from, was saying that the color saturation levels were much better on the QD display. And I have an OLED here. And I was watching some stuff that included images of the QLED versus the OLED, and you could legit see the difference just in the video alone of like how much better it looked, how much better the QLED QD OLED looked than the actual OLED from LG.
Yeah,
it looked really cool. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, that was I know they've been working on the quantum dot for like, I think the article I read was like the last 7 years.
It makes sense because they do have quantum dot TVs out right now, but they're LCD TVs, if I recall right.
Yep.
And they look good, but they don't look as good as OLED to me.
No, they don't look as good as the Sonys or the LGs. If you look at the QLED, quantum LED as they're known in the business, from Samsung against other LED TVs, they look amazing because their resolution can be higher, or not high resolution, but their pixel count can be higher. Resolution's still the same because content is content, but the pixel density can be higher because they're smaller. They are brighter because they can pitch those LEDs a little differently than because if you look at a Sony OLED next to like a Samsung LED, the Samsung looks brighter. It just looks inherently brighter, and it's because the LED behind it is different than what it is on a OLED, a normal OLED, because the OLED does not have an actual backlight to it. It is organic light emitting diode, which means all the actual little diodes that make up the TV screen are emitting their own light. They're not a pass-through light that changes the white and then changes the filtering of it to make a different color coming through. So it's pretty interesting because they're kind of like merging the two but making it better because they have that new backlight system that can like illuminate when it needs to and then obviously turn completely black, or as damn near black as you can get, because you can't really ever be at the absence of color, but you can be pretty close to the absence of color with the right conditions and chemicals. I know that for a fact. So it's very interesting to see what they did with those.
They also have high refresh rates too, the 144 hertz refresh rates.
Yeah,
which is really cool. And they're changing it into they're actually making computer monitors out of these, which is insane.
Pretty bonkers. Well, Cody, if you want to look up CES stuff, you got to spell CES right. Idiot.
Wow, how do you misspell 3 letters?
I put CSE because I typed too fast. Dummy. I think I read the article I read. I don't know which one you're reading from for the quantum dot one was. I think I read CNET's an article about it, or was it also on The Verge? I don't remember which one it was. Nope, I don't see. Oh, that's a different one. Another. What is QD OLED? We just told everybody what QD OLED is, fuckers.
So this article does go over the Alienware version, because if I recall right, you had the Alienware, and I think it was Asus was the other company that was going to release one from there, with that panel in mind. So this panel will do 175 hertz, sports a 0.1 millisecond GTG response time, and a 3400 by 1400 resolution. Yeah. So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, shit's gonna be nuts, dude.
Doesn't say what. Did it say what size? Oh, 30 AW3423. So it's. What size of monitor is that? Is that 34 inch or 23 inch? I don't know.
Yes. Yes, Joe. Yes. I don't care about Billboard's picks for top audio gear from CES. I want CES news articles. What the fuck, dude? Apple News. Get your shit together. Okay, well,
I was looking through a lot of the rest of the not a lot, but CES's website, which is really kind of dumb, going to CES.com or CES whatever it was, and then it didn't really have good links to any of the stuff that's being announced to it. But if you actually search for it, then you could find links on CES's website to the different stuff. A lot of interesting stuff coming out from other manufacturers. The only other one that really made me pause and go, what? Is actually from, I think it's pronounced Sengled, the smart bulb company.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this one is really weird to me. It is a light bulb, LED light bulb, like they've been manufacturing for a while now, that has the ability to see. Okay, so the light company, this is from CNN. The light company has added radar technology to its bulbs that monitor biometric measurements such as heart rate, body temperature, and other vital signs.
Okay.
So the idea is that it will be able to measure those things like while you sleep or while you're just in the room. And like the technology behind that shoved into a light bulb is interesting on the one hand, because I've always liked the idea of something that can like tell that you're in a room and it turns on the light, and or if it's after a certain time, it can turn the lights to like a sunset mode to help you, try and get into the mood to sleep and whatnot. But to have it built into a light bulb, that is so weird to me that is a thing that exists.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm reading an article about this is a weird thing they even talk about. Goodyear debuts a concept tire made of 70% recyclable materials. The tire is just a stop on the road of 100% reliable or renewable tires, which that Goodyear has committed to coming up with by 2030. I said that number 2030 about something, or 2028 about something else. What was it? Anyways, and it dawned on me, I was like, well, that's not really that far away, is it?
Not really.
Oh, it's 2028 was Chrysler said by 2028 they will be only producing electric vehicles.
Yeah, I heard that statistic somewhere else, and that's that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty rad. So this is it's weird because like I thought maybe this was talking about the airless tire, but this is Goodyear because Michelin has they are basically bringing out a tire that's called, I think it's called Uptis, and it is essentially a tire. It looks like every other tire except for there is no air in the tire. It is made of individually ribbed sections that are completely compartmentalized. So if you get a nail in one, it doesn't affect the other ones. It doesn't let air out because there's no air in the tire. It's just segmented little like bubbles, and they have to be like, there's these weird ridges. And they shows a picture of it here. There's a video, but I don't want to play it because it probably has audio, and I don't want to pay for that. This article is talking about, I guess, Goodyear has developed a tire that's 70% constructive materials that are renewable sources. So using less and less oil to produce the rubber or whatever material they're going to call this. They're staying away from the word rubber on this, which is really weird. Aren't tires considered rubber still?
I believe so, like a vulcanized rubber. But maybe it's not a rubber that they're using, which would be pretty cool. I mean, imagine having, electric cars that just don't get flat tires at all in the future.
I'm waiting, man. Because if you want, just real quick, Joe, just Google Michelin Uptis. It's UPTIS. Uptis, I think is how you pronounce it. And I know John Deere, on some of their vehicles have these type of tires. I don't know if they're Michelin ones or ones similar to them, but it's usually on their steering. Like if you look at a John Deere, there's a set of wheels that are for steering, and then there's power wheels. The ones that are powered usually are still air based, I think. But they every picture I've always seen of these, it always is a cross section. There's no outer cover on them. I think these are just to show how the tire works, but I believe the actual consumer grade ones will have an outside to them to make them look like regular tires.
And I would think that would make sense, at least to a certain extent, because you don't want stuff getting stuck in those spokes.
Yeah, spokes. That's the word. That's a good way of putting it. They're spokes, but they're rubberish or whatever this material is.
This is one of those things that I swear I've seen like every few years. I've seen a company all the way back into the early 2000s, even into the 90s that have we've made an airless tire, and it never comes to fruition, and I always forget about it. And I'm wondering why this is one of those things that just we haven't been able to really crack yet. I mean, I can see from an engineering perspective, I can actually see maybe some reasons why that if you have to have something like whatever the tire is made out of has to be able to withstand the 1, 2, 3 tons of car that's sitting on top of it without breaking and fatiguing very easily.
Yeah.
But there has to be some way of designing things out there that would work,
Yeah, because with these Michelin ones, the Uptis or whatever you call them, it still has a wear because it still has a metal band going around the outside of it that obviously helps the structure of the tire, but you will have essentially no blowouts. Like you don't have a tire that wears out, and the pressure of the trapped gases doesn't get past it and blow up because there's literally no trapped gases in these. It's literally just a tire. It's just rubber with the metal bands or whatever in it. So they and you're right, a bunch of years ago, handful of years, you always see something like this. And they're trying to make them presumably probably with this same technology, which I just read about while you were talking about Goodyear, because obviously we as a society, we're trying to eliminate carbon gases, and part of that is producing and using oil to refined into other things like gasoline and rubber for tires. And they say here, the 3 types of carbon black used in the tire come from renewable sources, which is an initial estimate produce less carbon in production than typical compounds. Again, staying away from the word rubber on any of these. But it says, but wait, as they say, there's more. Silica is what they apparently is this material they're talking about, is an essential part of the modern tire compounds. And Goodyear is using silica that comes from rice hull ash, a byproduct of rice processing. There's also recycled polyester and this sustainable tire, which comes from recycled plastic bottles. So that's pretty rad, if you ask me.
Oh, UPTIS stands for Unique Puncture-Proof Tire System.
That makes sense because it's very unique and it's a punctureless tire, and I think it's a system.
They have a fact sheet on their website, which honestly, there's not a whole lot of facts on here because apparently, like, this is a prototype.
Yeah.
Again, like, this is just a prototype that. It says here, new step toward tomorrow's sustainable mobility and mainstream reality passenger vehicles by 2024. So we're still a couple of years out before they actually even are planning on releasing this thing, assuming that everything goes good. But it's weird because it almost makes it seem like, at least this quote-unquote fact sheet, that the actual rim is included with the wheel.
Yes, so it's the way it's
an aluminum wheel assembly, is what they list here. The spokes are a composite rubber and proprietary innovative high-strength resin-embedded fiberglass, and the outside of it, the actual tire part, the tread part, is designed with renowned car manufacturers for passenger car performance.
It's a lot of PR nonsense, if you ask me, but yeah.
That's what I mean. This is the fact sheet. It's like, okay.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing, is that because the way they design it is it has a rigid inside and outside of the wheel, and then the middle portion of it are those flexible fins or spokes or whatever you want to call them, and it's all mounted to the actual wheel. So you're not putting tires on a wheel, you're buying them, which I think one of the reasons that it might be longer before you see them, because then they have to, like, obviously get manufacturers to use this technology and build wheels for the cars. But you know, we're a step closer. It seems like we're more closer to actually having this as a thing. Because for anybody who drives in a heavy populated area with a lot of freeways, especially in Arizona, where it gets extremely hot, the summertime here, tires tend to go out a lot quicker. And it causes quite a few accidents and things like that. With these new UPTIS wheels, or in tires, I should say, also, wheel, because it's all one piece, you won't have that. You'll still have a degradation of the material as it rolls, because it's gonna slowly wear out that material, unless they've somehow created it where it doesn't wear out as it goes across asphalt and pushes forward. But you will have less failure and accidents based on it, because the wheel itself will not, essentially explode and cause a car to, roll over or swerve and like that. It's just part of the tire will break loose, and it may thud a little bit as it goes, and you may need to get that part replaced if it's a section that rips off or whatever. But you won't have blowouts like you do now with regular tires.
I'm just ready to be done with regular tires, because it feels like every year that it gets cold out, it drops to like 30, 40 degrees. I'm always having to fill up my tires.
Yep. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Always. Like, even right now, my tire light is on, because it's like, one of your tires is like little low.
Just low enough.
It's not low enough for me to, like, visually really be able to see it, but it's just low enough to trigger that light. It's just like, okay, well, initially I had to, like, okay, let's get out the pressure gauge, and then you test each one, and it's like, okay, now I have to drive to a gas station that has free air, because I'm not paying 25 cents for air.
Especially since you're not filling all your tires, really. You're just filling, like, one enough to not have the light on.
Yeah. I eventually bought a small compressor that I have that I can just throw into my car. but it's just still annoying that every year, as soon as it gets cold out, one of those tires goes a little low, and I have to fill it up, and it's fucking annoying.
Yep.
So I can't wait for this. Of course, they're apparently testing it now. One of the other sheets that was near the fact sheet was saying that back in 2019, which is when that paper had come out, that they're testing it on Chevy Volts in Michigan.
Nice.
So that'd be cool. Have a Chevy Volt with one of those things, I'd be okay with that.
And I know...
there really wasn't a whole lot else in CES that I was too intrigued by. A lot of stuff that's still kind of weird to me. And then just a lot of stuff that just doesn't really matter to me.
Yeah, there's a CES this year seems to be like a really big gap in almost everything because there's no in-person stuff. So it's all like, presentations done to nobody or just like videos. There's a lot of electric vehicles though. That's pretty interesting. I noticed. Chevy debuted the fully electric Silverado that'll be out in two versions in 2023. It's called the 2024 because it's always the model coming out the year before. And it's a pretty cool looking one. It's not they don't have full specs, but they say it's over 400 miles per charge. It is very similar to like what the Ford Lightning does, where it can like charge stuff and has like outlets and quick charging, and it can even charge another vehicle from it, which is pretty cool. What was the other thing that was on it? There's they haven't finalized the design of the frunk yet, so like the one, if you watch videos or see pictures, it's very narrow, but they even said like they're not done maximizing the capacity of it just yet. Sony debuted a compact SUV like concept essentially.
Yeah, that threw me off because I watched another video about that and I was like, wait, you said Sony released a car. Like what?
Yeah, man.
And it's apparently some company that they bought. So it's still like Sony, but it's their subsidiary car manufacturer that they bought, which was just weird to me.
Yeah. Here's the tires I was talking about. So Michelin makes these these are UTV or utility transport something or other. I can't remember what it's called. Anyways, this is what this is actually product. You can buy these for vehicles like tractors and other like non-street legal vehicles. So those are actually in production, and this one doesn't have the cool. I can send this to you, but if you look at it, the spokes, ridges, whatever you want to call those things, are like offset in a way to like help with like balancing of weight and stuff. It's pretty cool. But it's just a cool thing. Yeah, other not to get sidetracked, but I was looking that up while we were talking about the other stuff too. Yeah, like so then Chrysler debuted the Air. I think it's called. Is that what it's called? Something like that. And then there's more information about the Fisker Ocean that came out it has a solar roof to help power electronics in the vehicle and charge things like phones through the energy it gathers in it, which is pretty cool. Airflow, the Chrysler Airflow is the concept that they showed off, which is also a compact SUV, a la the Ford Mach-E, the Sony one they showed off, the Equinox EV, the Blazer EV that Chevy announced, as well as I think it's BMW had one too that they debuted. And they're looking more, the outside of the vehicle is looking more and more like a regular car on most of these models. None of them have really gone to like the because these are concepts still, but they're not like the wacky fucking like, if you see the Mercedes one that they showed off, it looks like a goddamn car straight out of Cyberpunk. It has weird angles and like protruding lights and all sorts of weird shit that no one should ever want on a vehicle. It has a weird name too. I should pull up.
Is that Mercedes? You said, right?
Yeah, Mercedes it starts with the U or something like that.
The Vision EQXX.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I told you it was a weird name.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on techradar.com. It is something that like you would see out of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like
not as bad as what I would expect. Some car companies have done with electric vehicles in the past, but it's still not. It still looks more futuristic than it really needs to be.
Yeah. And it's like these car manufacturers, like, they don't want to just make a car like the Ford Mach-E, for example. We talked about this before. I don't know if I'm on the show or not, but I know we talked in real life, in the IRL, as they would say. It looks nothing like a Mustang. It has hints of Mustang design, but nothing. If you were to see it without the Mustang logo, you'd be like, well, that's a weird-looking car. But it doesn't look like a Mustang. It has no resemblance to a Mustang.
That's the weird thing about that car, though, is that it's because it's not even classified as like what a Mustang would be, which would be a sport vehicle, whatever that classification is. But it's classified as what, like almost like an SUV, but whatever that.
It's an EUV.
EUV. Yeah, electronic utility vehicle, which you wouldn't call a normal Mustang. For me, it's like they came out with this car and they were like, well, let's give it the Mustang moniker just to try and sell more of this vehicle. Yeah. Rather than making an electric Mustang, they made this electronic utility vehicle and then just slapped the Mustang name on it. And that's all it seems like they did.
Yeah, basically.
Because I would think that if you have a person that actually makes Mustangs and you're like, hey, make an electronic Mustang, that they'd be like, okay, this is going to be basically a Mustang, but electric, you know?
I'm going to send you so you can look at it. It's the article about the Chevy Equinox EV and the Blazer EV. And you can see what I mean by these are two vehicles that'll be out fairly soon. I believe it's 2023 technically, but 2024 is the model year. These ones are going to be Chevy's more affordable vehicles outside the Silverado, which they know is not for everybody because it's a $100,000 vehicle. But it's also a full-size utility vehicle, like a truck, you know? But these ones, like if you were to see, like the only one of these, if you go to the bottom of the article, you'll see pictures of both the Equinox, which is the red one, and the Blazer, which is the silver one. The Blazer, the front end looks very much like an electric vehicle, but the Equinox, the red one, almost looks like a regular car. The difference is the grille is just not as expanded, and you can tell it's not it doesn't have a pass through on it. It's solid plastic, but it looks more like a classic turbine driven like airflow system, like a combustion engine would have on it, where it has a radiator that pulls air through as the vehicle moves forward. But they look cool. Obviously, they look very futuristic with the LED lights and like the kind of mean, like sharp corners on stuff. But the vehicle itself, if you were to see like this next to a current model of a Equinox or a Blazer, you would just be like, oh, that's got to be like a 2022 Chevy Equinox. It doesn't look like it should be a electric vehicle, which, I mean, like I said earlier, a lot of these manufacturers are doing that, where they're making them look like, you know, actual real cars, not some weird fucking Star Trek, you know, holodecks fucking vehicle that they're just making up.
Yes, this isn't the Cybertruck.
Yeah. God, thank God.
No, these actually look really nice. They do.
Yeah. The Vision S is the Sony electric vehicle. Couldn't find the thing about it. And there are two of them. I didn't realize there's a sedan version. I only saw pictures of the SUV one from before. Was there anything? I don't remember seeing anything else that was, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening from CES this year. It was just like, and I was reading this, the kind of a wrap-up article, not wrap-up article, but like an impressions article from somebody on CNET, and they were talking about how like this year is the first time CES, like 80% of the stuff they're showing is stuff that we're going to be able to buy either this year or next year.
Which is good to hear, because a lot of this stuff in years past is usually stuff that they're still like, well, we're still working on this. This is still just a concept thing. Maybe 10, 5-10 years from now, we'll actually release this. So yeah, that's pretty cool that it sounds like a lot of this stuff is actually coming out.
Yeah. Acer was the other one that had the gaming monitors that were coming out in like big sizes. They're not QD OLEDs. They're OLEDs, but they're like, there's a 48-inch for like $2,500. There's a $1,800 32-inch. They're both 4K HDR monitors, and they're designed to be paired with the newer gaming consoles like the Series X and the PS5, because they have the variable refresh rate that both those consoles can utilize, much like the newer LG series of OLEDs have the VRR, variable refresh rate capabilities, where they can range anywhere from their max technically is 160, but they can be overclocked to a 165, which is pretty cool. But they use like G-Sync technology through like a display port. There's an HDMI that can do 120 hertz. There's a USB-C port that can do 90 watts of power delivery, which means it can actually power an actual device, not just charge your phone. It could actually run a essentially another monitor if they want to go that far, which is pretty cool because they can convert the power to be a little less than what the monitor would normally use. They don't actually technically use 120 watts, but a 90 watt you could run another monitor, since you're not running things like speakers and processors, because your processing is done from your console. The TV is the monitor is essentially just producing the image, visually image on there, so that's pretty cool. They are, where's it at here? It said it on there. Okay, here it is. For instance, it's not clear how well it'll handle HDR. Acer provided us with what sounds like a low peak brightness of 450 nits and a native brightness of 135 nits, which is low, but supports HDR10. So I literally think that's what they're doing with USB-C on it, is they're making it so it can run a secondary monitor and probably daisy chain video signal through that.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, beyond that, there was nothing else that I was really too interested in from CES. It's mostly just those monitors, or the Samsung TVs.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool. I'd like to be able to get one in the future when they release. But they're probably going to be like $5,000 or something like that, maybe even more.
Yeah, the new iteration of something like that, especially like a technology they've been working on for so long, is going to be pretty pricey when it comes out. I am happy, though, that they didn't announce a bunch of like 8K TVs, because I had a fear that's what like going to be the big thing. Which, cool, great, you get 8K. What the fuck are you going to watch on it? It's, like, you're going to watch like the 7 YouTube videos that are available in 8K, or built-in content that's probably going to be 30 seconds long.
8K is cool, but it's one of those things where the best thing that benefits from it are going to be large screen TVs that are basically like the Samsung Wall. I think it was called the Wall. You're going to have a room big enough to accommodate something like that, and you're not going to be sitting. You shouldn't be sitting as close as you would to 65 or 70 inch, or even maybe like an 80 inch TV. uh, that you would for something like that. So you'd have to have, like I said, a room that would be able to accommodate such a large TV, not only just wall space, but like floor space to sit kind of further back on it.
For something that's so large.
Yeah, for something that's so large. I'm actually kind of happy that they're kind of at least sticking to 4K as the standard for things right now, with and not jumping to 8K so quickly, because it gives consumers more time to adapt to 4K rather than just, we bought 4K and now this new thing came out a couple of years later that everybody's jumping ship to. So yeah. Plus, we're still getting good technology. Obviously, we got the QD screens, but it's only been, I want to say it's only been like 5 years, 6 years since we've even had like Dolby Vision or HDR10 and stuff like that. So it's good to, at least for me, to say that, keep a good resolution, keep the 4K resolution for a little while, and then not just immediately jump to 8K.
Yeah.
So quickly.
Yeah, because I remember like once everybody kind of got like the whole HD thing was like, all right, cool, and then they're like 4K, and we were like, but I just got an HD TV, and I was like, yeah, but also
just got the 1080p. Yeah,
like, there's no 4K content, so don't worry about it, folks. And people were like, but it's supposed to be better. I'm like, yeah, if you want to spend like 3 or 4 times as much on a TV for no reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I just had this weird feeling like they're just gonna announce all these 8K TVs for no fucking reason, and I was like, oh god damn it, don't do that. Nobody fucking wants it. Plus, you probably can't even tell the difference.
Most people probably can't.
Yeah, it's just
depending on the size of the monitor, you probably can't even tell the difference between 4K and 1080. Like,
yeah. On either way, either if it's too big or if it's too small, you probably can't tell.
At those sizes, especially smaller sizes, like a laptop screen, which is what I'm looking at you on. If you were to say, this is a 1080p screen. I actually don't know what the native resolution of this screen is. This MacBook Pro. I'd be like, okay, and you say it's a 4K. It's like it just looks the same to me. Like the only thing that would make a difference to me at this size would be a refresh rate. Like a high refresh rate would make things look more smooth. And on a 1080p screen with a high refresh rate, those things look really fucking nice.
Yeah.
Really fucking nice.
Yeah, because like my MacBook is a 3072 by 1920 is the resolution. So
yeah.
it's not like it's revolutionary on anything. It's still 1080p. It still falls in that range. But yeah, the refresh rate, like some of the new like 120 hertz ones are just gnarly looking, dude. Like it's just crazy how smooth and everything they move. Was there anything else? I don't see anything else that I care to talk about with CES. So
moving on to one more thing that we can talk about. Something a little bit more up our upper alley with the outside of the technology. And I ran across this a couple of weeks ago, or a week or two ago, but we were talking about other stuff the past couple of weeks, and I hadn't been able to mention it. Is a rumor that in the upcoming Moon Knight series for Disney Plus, that George Clooney is directing an episode.
I mean, I can find out.
And that's what I would say, because I know we've had Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead on here before. And there are two of the, I guess, 3 announced directors. Mohammed Diab is one of the other ones. But it was according to Geek Tyrant, according to a recent rumor dug up by Cosmic Circus, someone recently visited the personal website of a Moon Knight crew member only to find out that they had George Clooney listed as a director of the Disney Plus show on their personal site. So, complete rumor, kind of like a, my friend's friend said that he'll be doing it. But that's interesting because it's not something that, if it is true, it's just one of those things that I would never have pegged George Clooney to be like, hey, you want to direct a comic book TV show episode?
Yeah, it's real fucking strange.
Real strange. But I know your obvious connection to Jason and Aaron, or Justin and Aaron, excuse me, that it's something that even if you asked, they probably wouldn't say at all.
Yeah. Because I know they're listed. Well, I think they're listed as directing a good handful of them. Yeah, the series consists of 4 40 to 50-minute episodes, with Mohammed Diab directing 4 episodes, and the duo Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead directing the other 2. And that's the official word from Disney/Marvel about it. So I guess we'll have to see, but it'd be interesting if he did. It's fucking strange. Like you said, it's a very bizarre thing for him to do, like especially just like one episode. You know what I mean?
Oh, correction. There's been an update on that. The crew member originally referenced in this article reached out and said George Clooney is not in the Moon Knight series in any role.
Okay, that makes way more sense.
This news was and is pure rumor and is not based on any leaked facts. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Way better. I was like, man, that seems really strange.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, there went that. No news.
No news.
No news.
No news.
One other thing that I ran across while we were talking about other stuff the past couple of weeks is that the Batman, according to Uproxx, will be releasing, well, not according to Uproxx, but the article is from Uproxx. The Batman will be released or swooping onto HBO Max much quicker than anticipated.
Yeah.
Basically, and where is it? So there is usually usually I say it there, usually depending on, when there's not a virus in the mix, there is a certain window that movies will be in theaters, and I don't remember what it actually is. It's used to be like 4 months, 5 months, something like that before it actually hits any type of streaming service. Well, according to Uproxx, the Batman will hit theaters March 4th and then be on HBO Max April 19th.
Yeah, there was a I can't remember what I was trying to pull it up right now. There was a thing about their new release model for 2022. So for everybody who doesn't remember the whole streaming announcement from the end of 2020, Warner Brothers, along with HBO Max and their partner companies within the Warner Brother umbrella, announced their full slate of 2021 movies, theatrical release movies. So movies intended to go to theaters would be a simultaneous release. They'd be in theaters and on HBO Max at the same time, same day, everything. HBO Max would have 31 days, and then it would leave the streaming service and be exclusively through theaters. And then shortly after that, it would hit home video, so DVD, Blu-ray, and then make its way back to HBO Max within a few months after that. Middle of last year, 2021, there was an announcement between Warner Brothers and I want to say it was AMC, the movie chain, not the channel, that they would do a limited theatrical release first with some of the biggest titles, the Batman obviously being one of them, would hit the streaming quicker than it would normally would, and it would still be a limited window, but it was like a longer window. And then it would make its round through video on demand and DVD and Blu-ray and stuff like that. I'm trying to see if I can find it, because that sounds like what that is essentially expedient. Like they have, hey, we're gonna drive people into movie theaters, but we still want people to, come see stuff on our streaming service as well.
And honestly, I think it's a pretty good move. I mean, you're going to get the people like us who's going to go see the Batman in theaters in March. More than likely not March 4th. Don't do that stuff anymore. But at least within the first week of the film's release. And then you're going to get the other people a month later who don't want to go out into theaters and watch it, being able to watch it stream it on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And it gives people like us, if it's a really good movie and you want to watch it again, you can watch it again on HBO Max.
Yeah. Because there are many movies that you should probably experience in the theaters before anything else. And then there's some movies you don't really have to. You can watch them at home and they are still enjoyable. But there's some movies that are just spectacles, like Dune, for example, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
You definitely need to see on the big screen. And to your point too, like people like you and I, and our friend group, we are more likely to go see them in a theater because we are in a major metropolitan area. We have access to movie theaters, and it is something we like to do. Not always with the people who are there because, there's still scumbags in the theater, and I kind of wish I had enough money to just rent a theater for me and my friends so I don't have to hear people talk or get up and walk to the bathroom 9 times. But I digress. It says here, I'm trying to find the article that I remember reading about how it has, like, there's a certain amount, there's not a whole lot of movies they're doing this with. It's only, like, a handful of movies. And I don't know why. Here we go. And so this is it. According to Warner Brothers Entertainment Chairman, CEO, Ann Sarnoff, there will be no more day and date releases for big blockbusters in 2022. Instead, Warner Brothers will have an exclusive theatrical window of 45 days, after which they can transition to HBO Max. The final Warner film that will debut streaming same day, of course, was Matrix Resurrections in December. Going forward, all movies will have at least a 45-day window, a theatrical window before they are available to stream or get other content through HBO Max and other sources, obviously. So that's the thing.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a reverse of what they were doing. They're going to give theaters 45 days, so a month and a half, roughly. So that's 5 to 6 weeks, which is normally the window of making money in the movie, like for like record wise, like that's what they look at as 5 to 6 weeks of theatrical release, and then anything after that, they don't really ever, unless it's a massive movie, a Spider-Man No Way Home, an Avengers Endgame type thing, where they think it's gonna break some records, like it's gonna do like $4 billion or some nonsense. Then that's kind of like we're gonna leave this in theaters, but what Warner wants to do is they want to strengthen HBO Max for future subscribers, but also I think they're being more compassionate towards both theater goers and movie theaters, as well as just people who can't afford or don't have time to go to the theater to see them because they're not hardcore movie nerds like some people who may be talking on a podcast right now. But also, if they have large families or just families in general,